Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm being joined today with Janalee, a very special guest. Hi, Janalee. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to have you here for many reasons to share your story. So everyone listening, as I would have just mentioned already in the intro, Janalee has actually just finished the last round of the Break Free from Sugar program. And her story, starting in childhood through what she's been through in her healing journey, is so inspiring that I knew I wanted to have her on the podcast and have you here, Janalee, to share your story. So thank you for being courageous enough to do that. I know that it's scary to come on and share vulnerably and share your story. I mean, I've been doing it for so many years. It's second nature to me, but I know, for you and anyone else who's come on the podcast, it can be a little nerve-wracking, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll shake those nerves out pretty quickly, hopefully. So let's start off then. I think it's a really great place to start, at the beginning of your story, wherever you want to decide that is. I know that this, it's hard to kind of sum up our life in a couple minutes, but what was going on for you with your health and especially around sugar and eating, before you joined the program last fall? Where were you? What are some of the struggles that you've done, or maybe even some of the things that you've tried in the past that haven't worked that kind of led you to joining the program?
Well, I remember that when we were having the conversation, if the program was right for me or not, you asked me, what makes you think that this program is going to be different than what you've already done, since I had done so many other things. And I remember saying that it was the community piece that I had never had in a program. And that's what intrigued me, which was kind of funny because the community piece was the piece that I was the least involved with on my end. I mean, with the community, but I watched everything on my own, which I still felt was very, very beneficial. But it did make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I had tried every diet out there. I had tried every food elimination program. I had tried a bazillion supplements and thousands of dollars worth of trying supplements and programs, and had gotten not very far. I would be sick after every meal. I never felt good. My body hurt. I always felt like I'd had a big workout the day before. Sleep not good. Stress high. The thought of eating 24/7. Always, if there was a moment of not being busy, my first thought was, I need something to eat. And wanting to gravitate towards sugar cravings, never ever being free of those. So absolute mess, feeling like this was going to be a part of my life forever. Yeah. And it's not.
Yeah. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I'm curious. And actually, I don't know if I know this or if I've asked you this before, but do you feel like you resonate with, like, have you always had that pull and those cravings for sugar? Like, can you trace that back to your childhood? Like, was that a way? Yeah.
I remember sneaking to the corner store, buying candy, getting caught by my mom and being shamed in the family and publicly for sneaking and then eating something that I knew, that because I was so overweight, but I really wasn't that. I mean, I look back at pictures, I was a chubby kid, but I wasn't an obese kid. But my mom was doing the best she knew to help me with the tools that she had. So yes, I always wanted sugar. And at that point, I don't know if it was a physical craving or because I wasn't allowed to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned really early that if I wanted that, I had to hide to eat it and to sneak it. Very early.
Yeah. Which is that absorption of shame in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. So there's now eating is a shameful thing
Yeah.
Right. And, and pleasure too, right? Because a lot of that
Yes.
is we're getting, pleasure and comfort and all these amazing things that you were reaching for as a child, right? That so many of us were, and then overcomes this shame. And now we're in this turmoil as adults, right? Where we have to unravel that shame. And so thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people listening and other women can really relate with that. I know I can. I remember sneaking sugar cubes from my dad's little like coffee set up next to the stove. I used to just fill my pockets with sugar cubes and run to my bedroom and like eat them all at once. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I didn't go into like a diabetic coma right away, but somehow my body supported me to still be here. So you mentioned that obviously, just like so many of you listening to this, right, you've tried so many things in the past, right? And I really commend you. And I see you. I mean, obviously, I know you intimately now, and I know how much you've done for your wellness and how well supported and resourced you are with all the tools that you have and all the practices and the amazing healing that you do for yourself. What do you feel, looking back to all of those things that you've tried before, what do you feel was the biggest missing piece that prevented you from really creating like a healthy relationship with food, right? And that peaceful relationship with food. What do you think was missing from all those things that you did in the past?
Well, I want to say that it wasn't one missing piece. As I was looking back over this year, I decided that I had the perfect storm, but in a beautiful way. So the first thing that happened was I got my blood checked and my A1C was borderline diabetic, which really, really scared me because I do not want to cross that threshold. So I started with the continuous glucose monitor, which open my eyes to many things. That yes, my blood sugar was way too high. My when I would eat, when I thought foods were actually bothering me or sensitivity to foods, were blood sugar spikes and crashes. So that has helped me. Stress and the amount of fungus or candida or whatever you want to call it in not just my gut, but my entire body. So I started watching my carbohydrate intake to try and control my blood sugars, which is still an ongoing process. I found finally a gut healing program that worked for me and helped amazingly with the sugar cravings. So I now feel like a normal person. When I do have those sugar cravings, it's more the addiction, not the organism in my body screaming, feed me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big piece that a lot of people forget, right? The gut
Yes.
bacteria that's yelling exactly that.
Yes. So that helped. And then your program, you showed up. I thought I remembered how, but I don't know exactly how I found you, but I found you, which I'm so grateful for, and took a couple of your smaller classes and then decided to take the big leap for the Break Free from Sugar program. And
What inspired you? Where were you? I mean, I kind of know the answer to this because I remember our conversation, but do you remember where you were when we had that call before joining? Like, what was really going on for you that you knew, okay, I need to do something different and I need to invest and do this program?
I wanted to be free from being a slave to food and sugar. And my every waking moment was I had to carry food in my purse. I have to have food in my office. I had to have food in the car, and now my husband asked me, do you even have a piece of gum? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't have it, which is still so amazing to me after almost 60 years of always needing to have something that I'm okay. And if I don't have it, knowing that, I'm going to be okay instead of thinking I'm going to die if I don't have something right now.
Yeah. That like
So
obsession, right?
yeah,
Of like
the
always needing
fear,
to.
the panic, that is gone.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that just sounds like you're defining freedom to me, right?
Yes.
Like this sense of not obsessing and food. I mean, the mental space that and energy that must have taken up for you, right? And
Everything.
always being
Yes.
thinking about food and worried about food
Yes.
and living in that state of nervousness around
Yeah.
food.
It
Yeah.
was not a good place. And I think that's why I was still looking, because it's like there's people out there that are normal with food. I want to be one of those.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
feeling like I can move over towards that group.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And
which is
I'm so
wonderful.
glad you did. I'm so glad you knew there was this intuitive piece. It was like, I could do this. I just need the right path. Right.
Yes.
So what was it specifically? I know you've kind of mentioned a few things, but specifically about the program that made the difference for you? Like, what were the biggest pieces? I know you mentioned community, but were there other, what were some of the biggest pieces that for Janalee made the biggest impact and difference in being successful?
Well, I loved even though I didn't do all of the workbooks, but I printed them out and I read through them. And it was like, so here's my journal prompts. I don't like to journal, but I do like to read and think about it. So I would look at those. And then your classes, your videos, and then your extra resources. There was always something there that I needed. And I remember telling you that, I don't know what you can offer because I think I know it all, which was pretty arrogant. But
Yeah.
I obviously didn't know it all because I have learned so very, very much from you. And how your program is set up, just the 4 weeks of preparation, which for me was very terrifying to think. Because I remember saying, it scares me to death to think that I can never eat that again. Well, changing the thought that, I don't have to give it up forever, but I had to give it up for these 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That was very helpful. And then now the desire, it's like, that really isn't that important to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I know I wouldn't have believed it back then, but I believe it now and I know it now.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's something I always try to communicate, but it's impossible to communicate to someone who's maybe listening to this going, yeah, right. That's not possible. So I'm grateful that you mentioned that, right? Because there's so much resistance and fear and, our ego wants us to stay where we are. Right. And there's like all these fears that so many of you listening to this are probably sitting with right now. I can't give up sugar. It's too hard. What my life is going to be devoid of any joy or pleasure. So that's why I designed the program this way. And I know how impactful it is to really dive into uncovering those belief systems and those ways that we're thinking so we can shift them and actually, as much as we can enjoy the detox part of the sugar, right? Be ready and prepared so we can start to calm those fears, to calm our nervous system, to really start thinking about it differently and feeling more empowered before giving up sugar. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that I see with other, especially around sugar programs. They often have you go cold turkey on day one. And that's terrifying when you're not properly supported to understand your cravings and understand how to support yourself and build your toolbox and all these things. So yeah, I'm grateful that you mentioned that piece.
And I like that you offered, that we didn't have to go 100%. We got to decide where we were at. And I decided that I was going to give up the refined sugar, the treats, because that was my biggest downfall. And that what, I still would like them. Yes, but it's not, if I don't have it, I'm going to die. Because my new mantra, which we came up with, is I choose life over sugar because sugar is an actual drug for me. It is my cocaine, and I have to choose that there is a time and a place. If I desire to do that, I will do it in a controlled state, that I don't have to have the whole thing, but I can enjoy a couple bites and say, wow, that was good. Or you know what, that really wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then be done. Instead of I need to eat it today and then I need to eat it tomorrow because I ate it yesterday. So, and then it's going to take me 6 months to wrap my head around doing it again. I can get right back on to, I had sugar yesterday. So today I'm going to get back on track and go without. And that amazes me too, because I've never been able to fall off the wagon and hop right back on.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That is, one of the amazing side benefits when we do this work, right? Is being able to gently and kindly navigate instead of, and I know so many people listening, right? You go on vacation, you throw everything out the window, fall off the bandwagon or whatever you call it. And I don't like that terminology, but
yeah.
And then guilt and shame yourself. And then, 3 months later, you're in this miserable space versus, okay, I had a lot of sugar yesterday or on vacation and now I'm back and it's no problem, right? That ease. And like, that's the word that comes up for me as you're sharing that, like ease and just grace and compassion. And really a healthy relationship with food that's devoid of this judgment and shame and guilt. And yeah, that's really beautiful. And thank you also for pointing out, I don't think that's something that I've actually shared, about the tailorability. I might have just made that word up of the way that we detox from sugar, because that's actually something brand new that I just did in the last program that you were a part of. So because I
awesome.
recreated the program from scratch with all of you, as you know, and yeah, that was something new that I really wanted to build in, because I understand that we're all so unique. So we can't approach this as a cookie cutter. So how some women in the group want to go hardcore, right? They want to go all in. They want to cut out all the dairy, gluten, alcohol, all the extra bits. So I've structured into, I think I have 3 tiers, and it's a really beautiful chance to kind of honor what you're ready for in your sugar journey, and not necessarily need to go all the way if you're not ready to go all the way. Like, this doesn't have to be, that hard, right? We can inch by inch. And I know that that's one of the things you're doing. You're thinking maybe dairy's next for you to try out. And so it's a process, and I've built that in a really cool way. So I love hearing that feedback that worked really well for you.
It did. It was wonderful. And maybe that was another reason that I chose it, because it was like, I get to choose. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Instead of, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So.
You're in control. I think that's so important. And that's 100% the way I lead, right? I'm not some, teacher at the front of the class or some dictator telling you have to do this. We can build an accountability with also having some loose guidelines around, like, well, what actually do you want, and where, and yes, I'll push you a little bit. That's my role as a coach, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, can we do that a little more? But there's a line, right? And I think that's why so many women continue to slip up, is like things, joining things. And I don't know if you've had this experience where it's just so intense, or there's so many rules, or it's so restrictive, or it's so that it's just not sustainable.
Yes.
Right?
And that's what I've done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Most of us have, right? Ladies listening. Yeah. It's like so restrictive, and sure, you're going to lose weight and maybe you feel good for a month or two, and it's just not sustainable. So you don't stick with it, right? It doesn't work with your lifestyle. It's not really what works for your body. And that's really what we're working on here and creating, is really honoring your uniqueness and giving you back control, right? Like, you're in control here. You have all the power, right? We've forgotten as women that we do have the power to heal our bodies and to speak up for ourselves and to do what works for us, right? And to not necessarily always have to follow these rules. I know I give that pep talk at the beginning of the course where I say, you're not all going to be perfect. You're not going to show up to all the calls. You're not going to do all the workbooks or watch all the videos, and that's okay. So we get to break through some perfectionism too, and unravel some of the beliefs around that, for sure.
And I liked it also too, that you gave us permission that, well, you would say, you will fail. You will, or not fail, but you will slip up. You're going to have sugar. I mean, we went through Halloween, we went through Thanksgiving, and we ended right before Christmas. So, and I made my choice, and my birthday was in there too. And I made my choices before I started. It's like, okay, Halloween, I don't need candy. But Thanksgiving, I am going to have one bite of each pie. And I did that, and that was great. And I was done.
Yeah. And
my birthday is like, I'm going to celebrate something with that. And I did, and I was done and back on the program the next day. So it was just, it was amazing.
Yeah. It's about being intentional. That's what I hear you sharing, right? I mean, this is really about being intentional, right? I'm going to choose to have this thing, right, that I only have once a year, and I'm going to have a little bit, and I'm going to be satisfied, and I'm going to just drop the guilt and shame around it, right? And learn how to navigate that. So yeah, that's really beautiful. I love that was a part of your journey, and you really did. I mean, I saw you do that, really navigate that beautifully, and really checking in with what was self-sabotaging old patterns versus, no, this is a conscious choice of the new Janalee who's here to be in the driver's seat and make this choice out of love, right? Out of a place of not needing or obsession or addiction, but from a place of, calm and presence. So I know that you also upgraded, and you did the VIP with the program, which meant that you and I had some private calls together. How beneficial was that? I mean, did you enjoy our calls together?
Absolutely. It was well worth the investment. Yes. Our time together was priceless because I learned so much from you. There wasn't a call that you didn't have some very positive, meaningful direction for me to work on for the next month. So absolutely. And the emotion code sessions, even though emotion code is something that I'm trained in and I do for others, having someone else do it for me. And I had one session scheduled, nothing happens for chance. I know that right at the perfect time. And it was such an amazing release. And I felt so much better after that. It was something that I needed so desperately at that time. So that was perfect timing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved that. It's so nice. I love when women are ready to really commit in that bigger way and do the one-on-one coaching, because there's just so much more that we can really dive into in, this individual way. And I don't actually do private coaching anymore outside of my programs in this way, because obviously we're going through so much together that it nicely builds on having a little bit of one-on-one coaching time to really implement and get clear on what's going on for Janalee, right? We've been deep. We've gone through your whole childhood. We've gone through all the stuff, right?
And all of the crap that I went through in those 10 weeks in my personal life that
I was just going to ask about that. Yeah. So there's a lot of women right now, Janalee, who are thinking about joining the next program going, now is not the right time. My family is in chaos. I started a new job. Like I'm in the middle of a divorce. I don't know. They're all the life things. So I know you don't have to share details, but you were in the middle of just ultimate chaos and continue to be in your life. So how was that doing the program at the same time as having all those life things being thrown at you at once?
I think the program was very helpful because the program was a stabilizing constant in my life where everything else was chaos. It's like the community is there, Danny's there, all the resources are there. So I felt like I had poor help when everything around me felt like it was falling apart. So,
yeah, I'm so glad.
No, it was, I probably was the best time for me to be in it. And then all the time that I was spending in my childhood home, which was bringing up all the childhood issues. And I made the commitment that I am not going to revert into that child and feed those emotions. So that was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been learning to connect with that inner child and nurture her in a different way, right?
Yes. And do a lot of healing with her. A lot.
Yeah. It's been amazing to witness. And it continues. I mean, this work's not over, but it's been so beautiful to witness. And I'm really grateful for you sharing that, because I couldn't agree more. I know so many women are in that space where it's just the wrong time. And it feels like when people ask me if I'm ever going to have kids, which I'm not spoiling the answer to that, but I'm still undecided. There's no good time, people say, right? If there's no good time, you just do it. And I know for me, I've been in those shoes as well with different programs for myself, or doing, like, even for instance, at the time we're recording this, I'm a couple days away from heading away on a 7-day training for myself. That is at the worst time possible. I'm launching a program. Like, this is the worst time for me to disappear for 7 days, but it's also the best time because it's going to help me grow and support my clients even more. And it's going to just fuel me. And that's why I said yes to it. So, having these supports in our life when things are in chaos are, just like you said, right? It's the most important time to do that. And I'm really glad that you felt that support, even when you weren't able to make some of the live calls, or, I mean, we had our one-on-one calls and you showed up and it really, I saw it, keep you accountable to just even spending time with yourself every day to center and to ground, because there was a lot going on, and that in itself, so vital.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few things already, but I wonder if you could maybe sum up or share any other pieces around where are you now, right? I mean, the program ended at the time of recording this, like over a month ago. And I'm curious, like, where are you now, when it comes to that pull that food used to have over you and your body, and what are you still working on? I mean, the work's not done here, right? I know that there's pieces that you're still fine tuning. We've just gotten super started.
Yes. I have joined your monthly program. what, Sugar Freedom
Collective. Yeah. Sugar Freedom
Yes.
Collective.
Yes, I'm in that. I'm excited. I actually worked on my workbook yesterday for the emotional freedom. Yes.
Yay.
And that so I'm doing that. Eating wise, I have been doing intermittent fasting for maybe a month now, which was something that I learned from one of your calls, one of the extra resources, and started reading the book from Mindy.
Yeah.
Got it. And so that's been wonderful. The intermittent fasting has gone so much better than I anticipated. And I have probably, the weight was stuck, and I probably dropped at least 12 pounds in the last month. So in
Wow,
the
Janalee.
last
I didn't know
year,
that.
the last year I dropped 24 pounds, which I have not been able to budge any weight in the last 7 years. So,
Wow.
yes.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea. That's
And
incredible.
no diet per se, just changing what I was doing. No, I'm not eating the sugar, but that's not healthy for anyone.
Mhm.
And so I am staying away from the sugar. I haven't given up the dairy yet. I am decreasing. I'm probably doing my 4-week prep. I am decreasing the amount. The only thing that I have now in my diet is some cheese, and I'm trying to decrease that out. So we can get rid of the dairy. And I like, I'm drinking a lot more water because of the intermittent fasting. I feel better. I'm amazed at how much food my body can survive on instead of eating all day long to 2 meals a day and not snacking between meals. I just am so amazed at that.
Yeah.
It's so
Such a
exciting.
simple thing, but it's so life-changing. I remember the
Yeah.
moment I realized I wasn't snacking anymore. I was like, wait a second, what? I can leave the
I
house
know.
and not panic about what I'm going to eat an hour later.
Yeah, it's just like, this is amazing. And I look at, I'm at my work office and I still have, some snacks here, and I look and it's like, oh yeah, probably need to just throw that away or put it out for the staff because I don't need it. It's, yeah. It's so amazing.
Yeah. I can see you here kind of in awe of like, what? Is this true?
Yeah, because if you would have told me, okay, in January, we're going to be having this conversation and this is what you're going to be telling me, I'd say, Danny, you're lying.
Mhm.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So I am in awe, and I am excited, and I am celebrating it.
Yay. Good. That's important.
It is.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. You have done so much, like the mindset stuff as well that you have really cleared out and worked on, and the way that you're showing up differently amongst the chaos and with your family and for your inner child. We really need to go in and nurture those parts. And I've seen you, I've seen you come so far, and I cannot wait I'm going to continue being by your side for months to come. And I'm so excited to see what you've got in store this year and just what continues to unfold for you.
I am too.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a place to be actually excited, right? I know, a lot of women now might be sitting there just really feeling depleted, right? And
Mhm.
deflated. I'm
Mhm.
trying to make up words. And, like there's no hope or so, I'm hoping that they're listening to you, realizing like, oh, okay, if Janalee can do this, I can do it. Right. And it's just about getting the right support and guidance and having someone kick your butt in a new direction. That's really gonna shift things. So I appreciate you so much sharing your story, Janalee. I'm curious, is there any final thoughts that you have or anything that we didn't get to say that you really want to share with other women who are listening, who might be, on the fence or, know that they want to do this deep inner healing for themselves, but they're scared? Like, are there any words of advice you have or any other pieces that you want to share?
Yes. When we were having our last conversation and I said to you, I was going over this last year of all the classes and things that I have done. And it's January, so it's time. Oh, what do I want to do this year? And thinking, I found my last program. I don't have to search for another program because Danny has everything that I need for my eating issues. So that in itself is, there's so much peace and comfort. And the fear and the anxiety of, I'm never going to be, well, normal. I don't know what normal is, but I'm never going to be where I thought I needed to be, but I'm there and I'm beyond what I ever could have imagined that I could be. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. That's so beautiful to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm soaking in all of this. I love having these conversations and celebrating you. And I'm just so grateful that you are willing to show up today to be seen and heard. This is a big part of our healing that we do in the program. And we talked about this before I hit record, right? That this is
Mhm.
like sharing our stories in this way, helps us as women know that we're not alone. And I really appreciate you doing that. For anyone who's listening, that you're also feeling like you're not alone here, and that there's hope and there's possibility and there's so much waiting for you on the other side of even just 10 weeks, which is so quick.
Yes,
It's like
it is.
not even 3 months, right? It's amazing what we can really accomplish when we commit to our healing and we commit to ourselves and we commit to the right type of safe space to explore, right? And to go into some of these maybe difficult, painful areas together. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for doing that publicly here on the podcast. Like, I'm so
Oh.
grateful. And I know that everyone listening has really gotten a lot out of what you had to share. So thank you, Janalee, for being here.
Thank you, Danny. I have so much love and appreciation for you and your program. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, we'll have to do another episode in 6 months for update. Janalee update 6 months later.
Hey, that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll coordinate that. Stay tuned halfway through the year, everyone. And thanks for tuning in, everyone, to this episode and hanging out with Janalee and I. I hope to see you in the next round of the program and that you really enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to leave a review and subscribe to the podcast if you're not yet. And we'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.